Hello and happy Monday, as it were. We're going to actually finish up this whole section on surface area and volume today. But I wanted to show you something kind of interesting. Remember last week I told you that I left my pyramids at school. When we left school, I hadn't gone back. Well, I went to school last week and I got them. So you'll notice that this is my cool pyramid with the weird colors in it. And you'll notice that it has a bottom, which is a square. And then it's got 4 triangular sides. So that's what I was talking about, where you have to create these 4 triangles using this slant height. Maybe it's a little bit easier to show you on this one. That you have this slant height here that represents the actual height of this outside triangle. And so you've got the square base, and then in this case 4 of these congruent triangles that all make up the surface area. So I thought about you this week as I was cleaning up my room. By the way, I rearranged my room. So it's going to look a little different when we ever get back there, but it's going to look a lot better. So, okay, we're going to finish up today with spheres. And spheres are a little bit different. I mean, here's a sphere inside basketball, yeah. But what's different about a sphere when it comes to talking about surface area and volume is like there's no base to this, right? There's nothing flat that it sits on, so there's no base to calculate an area of, and you can't like stack a whole bunch of things together. I mean, if we were in calculus, we'd be stacking circles of different sizes that are cross sections of this. But this is not something you can visualize like you might have visualized a prism or a cylinder, for example. So all we're really going to end up with is a couple of basic formulas that are a little bit tricky to work with, but it's still just a couple of formulas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the I'll give you the formula for volume, and then I want to show you a quick little example of how this goes into play. Then we'll do surface area, and that'll be that. And we'll use basketballs as our theme today. So basically what we have for a sphere here, and I'm going to draw this. I'm going to show you how to teach how to draw a sphere. So you draw a circle, and then what you do is you kind of put an oval around the equator, or the belt, if you will. And what I like to do is I make the back of it dashed and the front of it solid. So it looks like I'm looking at this equator, this circle right in the middle. And then what's even kind of cooler is I will draw a radius like this. And this gives you a little bit of depth perception to show that there's a radius to that circle, but really to that equator, okay? So the whole formula for volume of a sphere is based on that radius r. Rewrite volume equals 4/3 pi, not surprising because circles are a pretty big theme here, r cubed. And this is the volume of a circle. Now that's not the easiest formula to work with, partly because you have to find the radius and cube it, but also because you're dealing with 4/3, you're dealing with pi. There's just a lot of kind of uncomfortable terms to deal with. Also, where this gets really tricky is if you're given the volume of a sphere and you're asked to then solve for the radius, that can be real tricky because you have to undo the 4/3 pi part, then you have to take a cube root to find the radius. So again, that can be tricky. All right, what I want to do is show you a quick example about basketballs. Now you'll notice here, let me see if I can, I know it's a little hard for you to see sometimes. Hang on a second. Maybe this goes better because now you can see me bigger. This is a women's basketball, and you can tell because it says 28.5 there. And I'll try to make this really big so you can see it. 28.5 is a magic number associated with women's basketballs. And to give you a little bit more context on that, let me show you this. So the official men's size basketball for college, high school, pros, you name it, is 29.5 inches. And what's important to note here, I will highlight this momentarily, is that it's 29 inches in circumference. So that's around that equator, that distance around that circle. What makes this interesting to me is you think about a women's basketball. Oh, women's basketballs are a lot smaller, right? They're actually not that much smaller. Women's official basketballs, this one is 28.5 inches circumference rather than 29.5 for men. So there's just a tiny, tiny difference in circumference. So of course that leads me to wonder, what's the difference in the volume? That's where the physical size comes in. What's the difference in the volume of a men's ball versus a women's ball? So we'll do men over here, and we'll do women over here. And I want to give you a chance to work through this with me. So if you need to, you can pause this, go grab your calculator. If you're watching it on your phone, that's a little bit tricky, but you know, if you maybe put your phone aside or pull your phone out and look at the calculator. Okay, now I'll do some of the work for you. Based on circumference being 29.5 inches, that translates to a radius of about 4.7 inches. For women, a circumference of 28.5 inches translates to a radius of 4.5. So if you notice that 0.2 of an inch, guys, that's less than 1/4 of an inch. That's the difference in radius between a men's ball and a women's ball. It's very, very small. And yet you hold them in your hands, they feel very different, right? So, all right, let's talk about volume of a men's basketball. Volume is going to be 4/3 pi times now 4.7 cubed. And by the way, the answer, because I'm taking inches and cubing it, will be in cubic inches. So let me do my calculator here. But again, pause this, get your calculator out, try this. Because it's a little bit tricky to make sure you type in everything right. Here's what I do. I do 4 divided by 3 equals. So I start there. Then I go, it's like 1.33333. Then I go times pi, and I get 4.18887. Then I go times 4.7 to the 3rd power, and I get altogether 434.89 cubic inches. Now that's one option for expressing volume of a sphere. However, what you will often see is that the pi in the problem stays a pi. Like we expressed it in terms of some number of pi. So if I did that, I would go 4 divided by 3 equals times 4.7 cubed, and I would end up with 138.43 pi cubic inches. So I want you to notice that, because sometimes you'll be asked to express the volume or eventually surface area in terms of pi. So look for this phrase, in terms of pi. Okay, so that's what this number does. This one here would say something like round to nearest hundredth. Okay, so just look for those phrases that will tell you what you're supposed to do. Okay, let's go over to the women's side now, and let's find the volume of this women's ball. So here, volume equals 4/3 pi. It's 4.5 cubed. So here we go again. I go 4 divided by 3 equals still 1.3333 times pi, still 4.1888. But now I'm going to go times 4.5 cubed, and the answer comes out to an error because I don't know what I'm doing here. There we go. I get 381.70 cubic inches. And again, I'll do it in terms of pi here just to be complete. So 4 thirds times 4.5 cubed. This is 121.5 pi cubic inches. So if you were asked the difference in volume between a women's ball and a men's, remember, 1 inch circumference difference, 0.2 inches radius difference, but the volume difference is like 53 cubic inches. That's quite a bit. That's a big difference when you start talking about expanding this ball to make it look bigger. So here's the thought I have though. Air is cheap. I can put air in this. It's not, okay, I need 50 more cubic inches of air. Great. Air is free. Air is all around us. It's not really that big a deal if I'm talking about maybe producing a basketball to put an extra 50 cubic inches of air inside it. What does interest me though, if I'm a basketball producer and I'm thinking am I going to make 28.5 or 29.5, is how much material do I need to make this? I would say leather, but these are all synthetic, which is fake. But how much material does it take? So the second part of this conversation deals with the surface area, like how much material is there in this ball? And I want to warn you again that this is not in your book. Your book just decided not to cover surface area. I think it's a big deal. So let's look at surface area. And you're going to want to copy this down because this is not in your book. This is on your equation sheets, the formula sheets that I gave you at the start of the unit. If you don't have it, go back a couple weeks and you can find it, or send me an email and I'll send it to you. But anyway, the surface area of a sphere that we write as SA it again involves pi, but it's just 4 pi r squared. And this is not probably going to mean a whole lot to you yet, but when you get to calculus, and I'm saying when, not if, because I believe many of you will find your way to calculus in college. But when you get to calculus, you will discover a really interesting relationship between this expression for surface area and this expression for volume. They are very closely related to one another. Okay, so let me draw, I was going to draw an orange. Can I do this? What if I do this? Nope, doesn't work. Okay. I was going to draw an orange because that's orange basketball. Now it's orange. And we'll draw again this radius like that. Okay, so let me go back and remind you that the men's ball has a radius of 4.7 inches and the women's ball has a radius of 4.2 inches. Again, I'm interested now in how much material it takes to make this. And yeah, I know there's rubber in between here and so on, but I just care about how much material it takes to make this ball. All right, so the men's ball surface area will be 4 pi times 4.7 squared. The women's ball surface area is 4 pi times 4.5 squared. Get the calculator out. Now this is a little bit easier actually, because now you can literally just do 4 pi 4.7 squared, and I get 277.59 square inches. And again, I'm going to write in terms of pi just so we have a reference, 88.36 pi square inches. Okay, so there is our men's ball. And now we look at the women's ball. And again, the interesting thing here is what's the difference in the surface area? Because if I'm a producer of these balls, I'm going to care how much more I need to use, how much more materials I need to use to make a men's ball. 4 pi times 4.5 squared is 254.47 square inches. You see the difference? About 23 square inches. Now, you look at it, a square inch, think about this, a square inch is just like 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch. So 23 of those, that's a fair amount. But I can sort of relate to that because that's an actual quantity. And then air is a little bit hard to figure out. 4.5 squared times 4. This is 81 pi square inches. So we have our, in terms of pi answer, and we have our exact answer. So this is it. All I want you to do this week. I'm going to give you, again, 3 options for your assignment. And then what we're going to do, well, let me just go through this. So option 1 is out of the book. It's page 490. And I apologize last week, thanks to Seth, for pointing out that I had the wrong page in there. So sorry about that one. 5 through 10. But we got it fixed, right, Seth? 19 to 28. Option 2 is going to be a CUDA worksheet on spheres. And option 3 is another worksheet. It says 10-9 practice A. There's nothing special about that. It's just what it's called. So these will both be available for download. And of course, this is out of your book. This is your assignment for the week to get one of these done and submitted to me. And for those of you that are thinking like, I don't know if I'm going to get, guys, it's one assignment. Yeah, you get to watch this awesome video, do one assignment, you got this. Now, just to be clear, May 18th, and I'm checking my calendar so I have this, May 18th, which is next Monday, I'm going to have a review assignment posted. That is not a required assignment, but it's an assignment you can use to go back over and look at some of the problems that we've done. The catch is it says out of your book, so it's not going to have any surface area problems in here. So no SA problems, but tests will have some. So this is out of the book. So I just want to make sure you're really clear. I'll give you a review assignment, but there's not, your book doesn't do any surface area, but your test is going to have surface area problems. And the test will be due, I should clarify. On Monday, I'll have a review assignment posted, but the test will also be available. And the test is due by Friday, May 22nd. Then after that, we're just gonna have 2 more weeks, 1 more very short topic and a quiz, and we're done. So we're gonna wrap it up for the year. So with that, I say, be well. I will, I don't know when I'll see you next. It might be a couple weeks before you see a video from me, but maybe I'll see you hanging about town or something. But hang in there, guys. We're in the stretch run. You got this. Keep working hard. Keep giving me your work. Stay healthy. See you next time.